sometimes you have to get a little versatile with it, man. Nah, but for real, man, it's the motherfucking Most Wise Flea Valley, man. We here, man. I don't even know what to call these shits no more, man. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all want them, I'm gonna keep giving them, you heard? But anyway, let's get right into it, man. We gonna talk about Tariq Nasheed's social media attempt at the app MOORus. MOORus. What happened to it? Why wasn't it a thing? You know, why it didn't go to where it was supposed to go? And how a lot of black people was showing contempt and showing dissatisfaction even with that project prior to the Hidden History Museum raising $1 million. The MOORus app raised about, I think, like 66,000, and I think like at the current day it's at like 84,000, something like that. So on Twitter Spaces last night, I think it was last night or Friday night, one of the nights, somebody came, little bussy boy came and he was talking some, yo, you owe me $50, I donated to the MOORus app. Where's the app at? You know what I mean? It was put out, but then it was taken back or whatever the case may be. It's no longer available on the app.
Yeah, like I was saying, I'm politely asking for you to return my $50 that I contributed to the MOORus campaign, and then those funds, I have contact with the person who you contracted to design that website. He says that you did a chargeback on the funds, so
because they took the
I'm
app off
assuming
the
that
motherfucking
those
app
funds
store.
were diverted into that Crispy Biscuits game, that racist Crispy Biscuits game. And as a dark-skinned person, I was offended. I wanted a special place on a social network that you promised that we would have that was free of the scrutiny that took place.
Okay, so you want some money back? Okay.
You know, I believe it was 12,000 subscribers on that app. So that in itself is a motherfucking accomplishment. So let me have a round of applause for that. But I think a lot of our black people don't understand how much it costs to maintain a running app on the app store and how apps work. Because a lot of our black people always say, yo, we need to build our own. We need to build our own. And I be like, yo, do you even understand how much it costs to build our own? Like, do you even know how much it costs to motherfucking maintain and run one of these, like, you know, social media apps, whatever the case may be? You know, just to start the app, it's like $50,000, $60,000, you know what I mean? So, you know, Tariq was in the proper ballpark to start like a common type of app, right? You know, especially when you're talking about social media, you're talking about people communicating back and forth. It's telecommunications, you know what I mean? So the app has to be run properly, right? So now when you're dealing with applications and shit, if you ever developed the app, if you ever dealt with app developers, if you know about software, if you know C++ and all that good shit, you know what I'm saying? You will know that when you launch an app, users only going to use about 45% of the app, right? So that leaves like 65% of the app.
About 1/3.
Yeah, more it's not going to be used, right? So no matter how much, you know, great features you add and all this great things your app do, when the app launches and the app goes live, as we call it in the tech community, you're gonna deal with a whole bunch of bugs. You're gonna deal with a whole bunch of user feedback. You're gonna deal with a whole bunch of situations that cost you know your developers
chicken to fix,
calculated for, right? So Tariq Nasheed may be a good businessman, but when it comes to tech, it's a whole different ballgame. And I remember Tariq Nasheed expressing frustration towards like the Pakistanis and stuff like that, the, you know, Indians, people who actually be like developing these apps and shit from these, like, you know, third world countries. And what they do is, you know, they upsell you and then they sabotage you at the same time. You get what I'm trying to say? Because if your app becomes like some leading, working, great app, you know what I mean? It puts their families at risk of losing their jobs and more competition. I would get into all that whole shit, but I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Facebook. We all know, you know, who's the main developers in Silicon Valley, even though they are still
We see all y'all Indians, you know what I mean? Harboring fucking
I don't want to say oppressed.
technology.
They're not really oppressed, you know what I'm saying? But they kind of kept on the low over there. But either or, motherfucking you know,
y'all baking that
when
racism
your
into
app hits the market and stuff like that,
algorithm. That's why y'all keeping us out.
You're
the
gonna get
paint
all
and
this
the
user
technology.
feedback and all these things you gotta fix. Now these fixes and updates is gonna run you about $20,000-$30,000 per year, and that's on the cheap side. You know what I'm trying to say? So, you know, people are like, oh, you know, Facebook is worth 400 billion, 300 billion, whatever the case may be. Just 1% of that is 4 billion. But you know, Tariq could have been a billionaire, this and the third, and investors and donations and this and the third. And it's like, dude understood, you know what I mean? Like, that he's going into a field that he does not 100% understand.
That's why your favorite rapper got.
So you're kind of going in expecting to take a loss. But the lessons that you learn helps your next business down the line. And then I believe that whatever all lessons that you learned from what he did with MOORus app, he put into the crispy, whatever the fuck that other app was, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Saying however y'all feel about that game is however y'all feel about the game. But the game is easier to develop than an actual social media communications app, because you don't have to keep updating the game. But with social media app, you got to keep updating it. You got to keep, you know what I mean, keep the servers up and running. It's a lot that goes into it that you do not see behind the scenes. And if you don't have investors constantly dumping money into your application,
black people
you
don't
won't
invest
go
in
anywhere.
black people.
And then people feel like, yo, so why you don't call on our brothers to, you know, develop the app for us? And, you know, it's a lot of smart black people. But it's like, unfortunately, all of the black tech guys have been taken by companies like Google. They sit all the way in the back at Google, sit all the way in the side at Apple. They sit all the way motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, in the motherfucking basement over there at motherfucking Tesla or something. You know what I'm saying?
Heard about Fremont.
All the great black developers
15 million payout.
Or the ones that do want to kind of develop, they want to charge you a super duper high price, and you know what I mean, kind of give you some, you know, a lot of pushback on your ideas, especially if you don't come from the tech background, right? These are all problems that I've done dealt with, and I guess I'm saying all this to say this, right? That, you know, a lot of us black people do not understand how racist Silicon Valley is. People do not understand how for lack of better terms, demonic Silicon Valley is. And if you don't know what Silicon Valley is, it's the tech capital of the world. It's where Apple's located. It's where trillions of dollars in capital is located. There's more money located in Silicon Valley than in Wall Street, the motherfucking financial capital of the world. So let that resonate. You know what I'm saying? Silicon Valley will not allow any black man to build a communication app that grows larger than its counterpart. Because if there was a way for black people to communicate untapped, unfiltered, just raw, we would be in positions of power. For the last 400 years, America has constantly made it their number one focus to sabotage black communication, right? They brought over a bunch of Africans from different places and stuff like that, so they won't speak the same language. They taught them a new language. You know what I mean? In 1804, when the Haitians revolted against, you know, Wasp people, right? White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. 15 years later, they banned black people from reading in America so that the black slaves would not be able to read about that revolution and be inspired by the revolution. You know what I'm trying to say? America constantly blocks communication amongst black people, because if black people could communicate, we could get on one accord. And if we get on one accord, we'll have unity. And if we have unity, you already know we're gonna be back in, the positions of power that God granted us as almost a earthly divine right, like the divine right of king. So that being said, let's try not to chastise our brothers before we fully understand what it takes to put a lot of these projects and situations together. A lot of us as black people are getting into these spaces, um, and we're not coming from a lineage of grandfathers who worked in Silicon Valley, parents who worked in Silicon Valley, parents who was, tech developers and XYZ and the third. So we all learn this shit kind of firsthand. Give people a chance to make mistakes, man. Give people a chance to fuck up. But don't chastise your brother. Chastise the motherfucking oppressor. It's the motherfucking most wise Fleavelli man. Happy motherfucking Easter. 40 to the family. OY to the motherfucking G's. You already fucking know. Stay black and bold, you heard?